Hello everyone, welcome back to a YouTube class. So in the previous class we started to know about your new chapter that is called as data file handling. Okay, so we had started this chapter where this chapter is having the weightage for your theory 5 marks. From this chapter we'll get 2 questions. One is for 2 marks and another one is for 3 marks. So like that we'll get totally 2 questions from this chapter. The chapter is totally theory based. We are not writing any programs and all. We are learning just how we can handle the data in the format of files in your systems. What all the different types of the files we can create. What all the operations we can perform on those all the different files. Which all the header files we have to use to handle the system files. How to perform the operations on those files like input, output, accessing, deleting, those all the things we'll learn in this chapter. So as the chapter is theory based and it is there for 5 marks, 2 questions you're getting of for 3 marks and 2 marks 1 question. You have to study a little bit detail. This chapter you have to study in little bit detail because everything is relating to your theory. So when this chapter has been added for 2 marks and 3 marks, as the last few chapters has been deleted, maybe the blueprint will change and some extra like 1 marks questions or other 2 marks extra questions can be added in this chapter. For that reason, we have to study this chapter in detail. Okay. So in the previous sessions, I told you why we need to study this chapter. That is the objective of this chapter. What all we are going to learn in this chapter, those all the points I had given you an idea. Means we are going to study about file, the types of file, the operations performed on the different types of the files, how to open a file, how to delete a file, for what purpose we can use the file. Those all the points we are going to learn in this chapter. So with this basics points, we have seen what do you mean by the file, what do you mean by the input operation, what do you mean by the output operation, how we perform these input operation and how we perform these output operations relating to your C++ language that we had seen. So here the file definition, we had seen one definition, but like that the different definitions of the files are. Totally you will get 2 to 3 definitions of your files. All has the same meaning, a little bit words has been changed in a different way. In a different ways we had used the words. With that again we had also seen what do you mean by the input operation, we had also seen the output operations. So let me give you the meaning of these 3 points one more time and then we'll begin with the next new point. Right? So the chapter is 12th chapter. The chapter name is data file handling. The chapter name is data file handling. I told you if you read the title of your chapter, that is there in your chapter. That is how to handle the files, how to store that data into your file, what data is there in that file, how you can operate on that data, how you can perform some functions on those data. That all things we learn here in a theoretically. We are not writing any programs and all. Done? So only in theory part we are learning in this chapter. So the first point comes in this chapter is something called as file. The first point comes in this chapter, something called as file. So for file, we have the different meanings. What are the meanings we have for file is, the first one meaning of your file we had seen is the information or the data. The information or the data stored under a specific name. Stored under a specific name on a storage device is called as file. What is file? The first definition we have is file is nothing but information or the data stored under your specific name on your storage device. Means in a storage devices, that may be the hard disk, that may be your main memory, that may be your secondary memory, that we have stored some information or the data, and to that data, that collection of the data or the collection of the information, we had given one name, one specific name we had given, so that in future when all we want to open that particular information or that particular data, we can use that name and immediately we can open that content. For that purpose, we had given the name to that, and that is called as your file. What is called as your file? The information or the data stored under a specific name on your storage devices, which is called as your file. For example, I had saved one image in my computer. So the image I had given the name. There will be many images. Which image you want to open, that will be the confusion. So what we do is, we just give the name to those images, so that among that the collection of the image, we just see that name, search for that name, and immediately we'll get that particular picture which we had stored. So no need to search for everything. Then similarly, maybe in your mobile phone, 50 to 100 music files will be there. Okay. So if you are not saved those music file with a particular name, or there will be no any particular name for those music files, then how to find which exact music you want among those all the 50 to 100 music files? So what we do is, for each song there will be the name relating to maybe the song name, or you maybe has given the different name when you had downloaded it. Then so based on that name, when in the future we want to open those files, we just click on search by that name and we click on that file, so it will be played. So easy for the searching. For always, whenever we are storing any type of the information or the data, we prefer of giving the name, so that by that name we can easily search that file in future when all we need it. Then so always we try to give the unique name, specific name to that particular file. The file may be the Word file, the Excel file, the database file, the C programming file, C++ file, or your PPT file, image file, document file, or a musical file. Any file it may be. Each file has its own name for the future purpose. So the first definition of your file we have is, write down the information or data, stored under a specific name on a storage device is called a file. Storage device is called a file. This is one definition which we can give for your file. Another definition for the file we can give is, a file is a collection of related data stored in a particular area on the disk. The disk can be the hard disk, the floppy disk, or your magnetic tape, anything you can take it. Then, so another meaning we have for your file is, a file is collection, or file is a collection of related data, stored in a particular area on the disk. So definitions means the words which we are used to define are a little bit different, but inside the content and the meaning is given in the same way. Right? So what it is there in the second definition, a file is a collection of related data, means the data or the information will be there stored in a particular area, that is in your storage area, maybe on your disk or anything else. Usually we define it as a disk because hard disk is used here as a secondary storage in your computer. One more definition let me give you on your file. That is, a file is nothing but a basic unit of storage in your computer system, and it is used to store a large collection of your data. It is used to store the large collection of your data. Take the third definition. File is a basic unit of storage in the computer system, and it is used to store large collection of data, and it is used to store large collection of the data. So these all the three definitions you can use to define your file. The information or the data stored under a specific name on a storage device is called as your file. And the second one we have is a file is a collection of related data stored in a particular area on your disk. And the third we have is file is a basic unit of storage in the computer system, and it is used to store a large collection of your data. So like this we have three different definitions for your file. So after that we had seen two more points, that is input operation and the output operations. We see the meaning of those also. So the first one we had seen the meaning of input operation. So what is the input operation? The flow of bytes from a device like your keyboard or the disk drive or through your internet, that is through your network connection, to the main memory, that is called as input operation. So what do you mean by input operation? Means the user are giving the data to your system. The user are transferring the data to your system, that is to your main memory. Then, so how this data is flowing? This data is flowing in the format of bytes. The data is flowing in the format of bytes. From where it is going? Through the user, means through the input devices. So which all will be acted as here the input devices. One is the keyboard if you are typing. Disk drive, already created file if you are taking. Network, through the internet or through another system's connections if you are transferring. Then here those set of the instructions are the data or your flow of the bytes, which we can call it as, are transferring from your keyboard, disk drive or the network connections to your main memory. To where it is going? To your main memory. It is going exactly to your main memory because we know that the processor, when all it is performing any operation on your input data, it is done through your main memory. The data is taken from your main memory. Right? So always for the operations it is connected with your main memory. Now coming to your input operations, what it says, the flow of your bytes, that is the information from the devices like the keyboard or your disk drive or your network connections to your main memory, that is called as your input operations. Similarly, output operations. What do you mean by output operations? The flow of the data, that is the flow of the bytes. There also the flow of the byte is there, and here also the flow of the bytes is taking place. But the difference is, in your input operations, the flow of the bytes is taking place from your keyboard, disk drive or your network to the main memory. And in reverse, here in your output operation, what is happening? In your output operation, the flow of the bytes are coming from the main memory. Here in your input operations, the flow of the bytes are going to your main memory, and in your output operations, the flow of the byte is coming out from your main memory to the devices like display screen or to your printer or to your disk drive or to your network connections. This is called as your output operations. So here the data from your input devices like keyboard or through your disk drive or through your connections, that is network connection, from there to the to your main memory it is going, means the data is going into your system. And in your output operation, the data from your memory to other content it is going, like from your main memory it is going to display screen, to your monitor screen to display. It will come to printer to take the printout. It will go to disk drive to store your data, or it may go to the internet through your network connections. So the data is coming out from your main memory, means that is the output operations. Then, so let me give you the meaning. Write down the flow of bytes from, first I'll give you about your input operation. Flow of bytes from a device, flow of bytes from a device like a keyboard, a disk drive, or a network connection to main memory. It's called as your input operations. So from outside to your inside, that is to your main memory, the data is flowing. The data flow is called as bytes. Okay, that is your input operation. The next comes is your output operation. So what is happening here in your output operation? The flow of bytes. The flow of bytes from main memory to a device like a display screen, a printer, a disk drive, or a network connection, So what is happening here? In input operation, the flow of the data is from outside to inside, that is to your main memory. And here in your output operation, the flow of the data from your main memory to the other devices. So this is your input operation, this is your output operation, and these are the three different definitions we are seeing for your files. Okay? So we'll move to the next point in your data file handling. So the next points comes to know about your other points. The next points comes to know or to study about your other points in your syllabus. So what happens here is, in your C++, the files, the input and output facilities are implemented through your header files. Okay, so in your C++, we perform your input and output operations. So these input and output operations are possible to perform in your C++ language using a standard header files, using a header file of your C++ standard library. There will be a language library. From there we use the different header files, and we can use the header files to perform the input output operations on your file. And which header file we use here in your C++ to perform this input and output operations is fstream.h. The header file name is fstream.h. fstream.h. So in your C++, the file on its level is mainly used to store a sequence or a stream of bytes, or else we can also use it to transfer the data, or sometimes it is also used to have the data like your characters, arithmetic values, or the classes and the objects. So in these way we use these files to manage the data, maybe in the format of to manage your all IO library files, or you can also use it for the general use like to store your data types of characters, arithmetic values, or your classes and the objects. So this fstream library predefines a set of the operations for handling your file related input and output. This fstream library, that is fstream.h header file, what we are using in this C++ for performing the input and output operations on your files. So it has a set of the operations which can handle all input and output operations which you can perform on a particular file. It defines mainly the certain classes. It defines mainly some certain classes that help to perform your file input and output. It defines certain classes because everything, the C++ language is based on your OOP concept, and where we perform the operations on the concept of your classes and the objects. So there should be a classes, right? So here it defines your certain set of your classes which will help you to perform the file input and the output operations. For example, here there is a class called as ifstream. There is a class called as ifstream, IFSTREAM. There is a class called as ifstream which will help you to have all the program, the file program for input. All the file program for input. Similarly, there will be one more class called as offstream. There is one more class is there called as offstream which will help you to have all the programs of your output. All the programs of relating to your offstream. Done? So there is a header file which we use is fstream.h which will allow you to perform all the input output operations relating to your file. There are the classes which we use in that particular header file. There is one class called as ifstream which will help you to perform all the input operations on your file, and offstream will help you to perform all your output operations on your file. Similarly, we have fstream. We have only fstream which will help you to perform both the input and output operations. Both the input and output operations of your file. So there are totally 3 different classes: ifstream, offstream and fstream. Fstream is a class which will help you to perform all the operations, input output operations on your class. Offstream will help you to perform the output operations on your file, and ifstream will help you to perform all the input operations on your file. Done? So fstream is a common. It will allow you to perform both input output operations on your file. This fstream come with O means output, come with I means input. That point you can remember. Fstream comes with O means output operation, comes with I means it is a input operations. Done? So how like this we use these different classes to perform the operations. Now the file manipulations and related operations using your streams and all, that all we'll study in this chapter in detail. Then, so before studying in detail relating to everything, first we have to know what do you mean by this stream. First we have to study what do you mean by this stream. So we had seen that this fstream.h is a header file in your C++ standard library. This is your header file. This is your header file which is there in your C++ standard library. In your C++ library, there are different header files like we had studied already, your iostream.h, conio.h, iomanip.h, math.h, string.h, ctype.h, like that. We had studied the different classes or the different header files of your language library, no? Like that, among them, this fstream.h is also one header file. There is also one header file which is used to implement your file input output operations, which is used to manipulate or implement or to perform the file input output operation. So when all you want to perform any file related input output operations, we add a header file called as fstream.h. So this fstream library defines a set of the operations for file handlings relating to your input and output. Done? So we had seen ifstream is a class which will help you to perform input operations on your file. Offstream is a class which will help you to perform the output operations on your file, and fstream will help you to perform both input and output operations on your file. Right? So before moving to the next point, let us clearly see about the stream first. We had used the word stream, right? So first we'll see what do you mean by stream. First we'll see what do you mean by stream. So the stream is nothing but the sequence of bytes. The stream is nothing but what we call it as, it is nothing but the sequence of bytes we call it as. Then, so here in your C++, the stream is a general name given to your flow of the data. The flow of the data is there, no? The flow of the byte. For that, we give a different name in the C++ language. That name is stream. And another name for a flow of the data is your stream. Stream is nothing but the flow of the data or the flow of the bytes. Then take down stream is a sequence of bytes. is a sequence of your bytes. So it is another name given. It is another name given to your class. It is another name given to your flow of the data. A general name we had given in your C++ language. So what we call it as stream is a flow of data at lowest level. Lowest level means in a binary numbers. Everything is in the format of binary numbers. For that reason only we are telling that it is a sequence of bytes. Why we are calling it as sequence of bytes? Because it is in the flow of the data in your lowest level, and in lowest level means we use machine language. And what is there in your machine language? It contains your binary data. It contains your binary data. Right? So it acts as an interface between the programs and the files. The stream will act as interface between your programs and the files. So it will act like a interface between your program and the file. So any data has to be stored in the file. That communication has to be taken place between your files and the programs what you have written. That everything is through your streams. That all will be carried out through your streams. Right? So your stream is nothing but the sequence of bytes, and the stream is nothing but the flow of the data at the lowest level, and the lowest level means your binary numbers. So these streams are used to represent your data flow. For what purpose we use these streams? To represent your data flow. How the data is flowed from your program to file, file to program, or to your input files or to your output files. How the data is flowing, to represent that we use these streams. So represent data flow, we use these streams. For what purpose we use these streams? The streams are used to represent the data flow. So totally there are the different types of the streams we use. We use the different types of the streams. In your textbook, the streams has been divided into two types. But it can be considered as three types also, no problems. The streams has been mainly divided into two types. Those you can again show it in a three-way also. So it is there in your textbook in only two ways. That is, two types of the streams has been given. First let me explain you about those two types. Then later I'll explain what is the third one. Then in one point, if you remember the meaning, is more than fine. Fine. So there are two different types of your streams. There are two types of streams. So which are those two types of the stream? The first one we have is input stream. The first one we have is input stream, and the second one we have is output stream. The second one we have is output stream. So there are two types of your streams, input stream and output stream. And I told you there is one more stream we can consider. The third one we can consider as error stream. You can consider it as error stream. It is not there in your textbook, even though you remember there is one more stream that is called as error stream. In exam write only these two. Don't write this extra. I had given it for your knowledge purpose. Fine. So there are two types of the streams we have, input stream and output stream. So what do you mean by input stream? First we'll see, then we'll see what do you mean by the output stream. So the first one we have is input stream, and write it in shortcut. The first one we have is input stream. So what is your input stream? The stream that supplies the data to your program is called as input stream. So the stream means the flow of the data or the flow of the bytes. So the stream, that is the flow of the data to the program. The flow of the data to the program is called as your input stream. So what happens here is, it reads the data from the file and transfer to the program. The data is there in your files, and from file to the program it is transferred. That operation is called as your input stream. That operation is called as your input stream. Take down the meaning. The stream that supplies that supplies data to the program, is known as input stream. Fine. What do you mean by input stream? The stream that supplies data to your program is known as your input stream. So what it does, it reads the data from file and transfer it to the program. It reads the data from file and transfer it to the program. So there will be the data stored in your files. It takes the data from the files and it transfers it to your program. That is your input stream. Next, come to the next one, second one. What is your output stream? We'll see what do you mean by output stream. So the stream that receives the data from the program. What is your input? The stream that is supplied data to the program is your input stream. And the stream, what is your output stream? The output stream is nothing but the flow of the data from your program. The data or the stream that receives from your program is called as your output stream. So take down the meaning. What do you mean by output stream? The stream that receives data from the program. Data from the program is known as your output stream. So here it writes the received data to your file. Means what it is doing? It is taking the data from the file and it is giving the data to your file. So giving data to your file or storing the data in a file is called as write operations. Done. So we call it as it writes the received data to the file. Means the data which has been taken from the program, that will be stored in your file. That data will be stored in your file. That is called as your output stream. So it is about your output stream. So I told you that there is one more type of your stream, that is called as error stream. So what is this error stream? The error stream is basically an output stream only used by your program to the file or on your monitor to report the error messages. So there are some flow of the data. Means if you remember, you execute program, no? When you complete your typing your program and you execute it. So if there are any mistakes if you did in that coding, then the errors messages will be displayed. Fine. So that flow of the data is called as your error stream. That messages what we are printing, what that messages is printing on your display, that is on your monitor screen, no? That is nothing but your error stream. Actually that is a part of your output stream only. So in your textbook they had not given separately that error stream. But we consider when you learn advanced in next version of your data file handling, when you learn, no, that time you learn about in detail relating to that error stream. For time being, you just remember this error stream is there, which is a part of your output stream. And what is that error stream? That error stream is nothing but the output stream which is used by your programs and it sends to your file or to the monitor to report your error messages. Whenever we are executing the program, if there are any mistakes in your program, then those messages will be displayed. Directly those will be sent to your files, or else on the monitor screen those errors will be displayed. Fine. That is your error messages. So there is one diagram we can use to show this system, how the stream is occurring, how the flow of the data is happening, that is input stream, output stream, error stream, that all we can see through one diagram. So let me show that diagram. So this is disk file. This is your disk file. Next comes is output stream, and then here this side it comes is input stream, and then comes is your program, and here again it is connected. Done? So here what we are doing, writing data to your file, write data to file. Here read data from file. Here write data to your file, read data from the file. Here it is data output, and here it is data input. So what is going to here? Memory to the file. The output stream means memory to file. Memory to file, and this side file to memory. File to memory. Then, so how this operations will be taken place? There is input, output, file, and the program is here. This is your file which is there in your disk. This is your program. Output stream, input stream. Output stream to your disk file through your program means data is coming output. That is, we are writing the data to the disk file. And from disk to program, the file is taking means reading the data from the file. That is, file to memory it is coming, and that is data input we are calling it. How we show? We show it as data input file. Fine. So one more diagram I can show you to understand generally. This is there in your textbook. What I am telling you is not there in your textbook. Just for your understanding purpose, I'll give you the idea. So this is your input unit, you can consider. Input unit. Next, consider this is your C++ program. C++ program, and next consider this as your output unit. Fine. So in your input unit you may be having keyboard. Keyboard will be there to write or to enter the data. Then you can also add the disk. Through your disk you can take the input. Fine. Next, program is written. Here the monitor screen will be there, and also disk will be there. Means the data can be kept in disk or displayed on your monitor screen. Can be displayed on your monitor screen. So the data which is coming through input devices and going to your C++ program or to your disk to the program or through the disk to your program is called as input stream. This is input stream. Fine. Next, from program to your output unit. From program to your output unit, what it is going is your output stream. What it is going is your output stream. Fine. And if any error occurs, that can be displayed on your monitor screen, or else from disk to your drive can be given. That is your error stream. Done? So like this, your streams, input stream, output stream operations is taken place in your data file handling. So today I had given you the different meanings of your file, which we had studied already in the last session, but only one meaning I had given. Two more we had seen. Then we had seen one more time the meaning of input operation, output operations. Then we had studied about your fstream.h header file, only the meaning I had given you. Then the classes of that fstream header file is ifstream, offstream, fstream. Only the names we had studied. In detail we'll study in the next session. And then we had also seen the stream, the meaning of stream, the types of stream, and how we can show those types of stream using this diagram. Okay, this is the diagram which is there in your textbook. That is, the disk file will be there. From disk file, if you are taking the data, that is called as read from the file, input stream. we take it to the program, and from program if you are going to again back to your disk file, that is called as write the data to file, and that is your output stream. So data output, data input will be there to your program, and the data is going from output means that is memory to your file, and data is coming from your disk file means file to your memory. Then in this way your streams will work. The relating points about your data file handling, the other part we'll see in the next class. If you have any doubts relating to this part, let me know. I'll clarify your doubts. Thank you.